The room is still glowing when the first sound cuts through it. Gold light on white tablecloths. Cameras pointed at the stage. Waiters frozen between tables. The President of the United States is inside the Washington Hilton, surrounded by journalists, cabinet officials, security teams, and the kind of people who normally believe danger happens somewhere else. Then, everything changes. A sharp noise erupts near the edge of the event. Heads turn. Someone ducks. Then another. A Secret Service agent moves before most people understand what they heard. Within seconds, Donald Trump is being surrounded and pulled away from the stage. Melania Trump is moved with him. The ballroom moments earlier, built for speeches and applause, becomes a room full of bodies bending beneath tables. Outside the ballroom, the threat is closer than anyone wants to believe. According to federal authorities, a man has pushed toward a security checkpoint with firearms. He is not supposed to be there. He is not a guest who lost his way. He has crossed the country, arrived in Washington, checked into the hotel, and appeared near one of the most politically sensitive rooms in America. His name will soon surface in court records: Cole Tomas Allen, 31 years old, from Torrance, California. But inside the dinner, there is no name yet, only movement. Agents closing ranks. Guests whispering under tables. Police radios breaking into fragments. A luxury hotel turning into a sealed perimeter. And somewhere beyond the doors, a Secret Service officer has been hit in the chest, saved, according to investigators, by a ballistic vest. By the end of the night, the President and First Lady will be declared safe. One suspect will be in custody. Washington will begin asking how close the country came to a political assassination in the middle of a public gala. But the first question is simpler. How did a man with guns get that close? The Washington Hilton was not hosting an ordinary dinner. For one night, the hotel became a compressed version of American power. Reporters who questioned presidents, officials who shaped policy, security officers watching every door, every hallway, every movement that did not fit. And at the center of it all, President Donald Trump attending one of the most visible political media events in the country. The White House Correspondents Dinner is built to look ceremonial. Black ties, camera flashes, jokes from the stage, a room designed to make politics feel human for a few hours. But beneath that polished surface, the event is a security problem. Because when the president enters a room, the room stops being just a room. It becomes a protected zone. The entrances matter. The stairwells matter. The elevators matter. Every checkpoint becomes a line between routine and catastrophe. That night, the Washington Hilton said it was operating under Secret Service protocols coordinated with local police and hotel security. Layers of protection were in place. Guests passed through screening. Movement was controlled. The building was supposed to be watched from the inside out. And still, somewhere in that system, a man from California had already arrived. Cole Tomas Allen was not a celebrity guest. He was not a staffer. According to investigators, he had traveled across the country, checked into the same hotel before the dinner, and brought firearms with him into Washington. That detail changes everything, because this was not a stranger appearing at random on a street outside. This was a man already inside the orbit of the event, close enough for the security system to matter, close enough for seconds to become the difference between a failed breach and a national tragedy. The dinner continued upstairs, glowing and crowded. But outside the ballroom, the first warning signs were already moving toward the checkpoint. The first version of the story sounds simple. A man approaches a checkpoint. Security reacts. The president is moved. A suspect is arrested. But by Monday, that version is gone. Federal prosecutors now describe something far more serious, an alleged attempt to assassinate the President of the United States. Cole Tomas Allen is not only accused of carrying weapons near a protected event. He is accused of targeting the man inside it. Investigators say Allen had traveled from California to Washington, checked into the Washington Hilton before the dinner, and arrived with 2 firearms, a shotgun and a pistol. These details matter because they turn the incident from a chaotic breach into something that looks planned, deliberate, and timed around one of the most visible political events in America. Then comes the detail that makes the room feel smaller. According to reporting based on the FBI affidavit, Allen charged toward the security area with a long gun near the floor above the dinner. One account says he sprinted past a checkpoint and reached the top of a staircase leading toward the ballroom. Not the street, not the lobby. a path toward the room where the president was seated. The Secret Service had layers in place: magnetometers, officers, local police coordination, hotel security. But layers are not walls. They are delays. They are seconds bought under pressure. And that night, seconds became everything. A shot was heard. A Secret Service officer was struck in the chest and survived because of a ballistic vest. The suspect was taken down and arrested before reaching the president. But the message was already clear. The threat had not been stopped miles away. It had been stopped inside the event's outer skin. Now the question was no longer whether security had worked. The question was how close it had come to failing. At 8:40 p.m., the checkpoint becomes the center of the world. Not the ballroom, not the stage. Not the cameras waiting for another political joke. A narrow stretch of hotel floor, a security line, a staircase. According to investigators, Cole Tomas Allen moves toward the protected zone with a long gun. He does not drift forward. He charges. Around him, the controlled language of security collapses into instinct. Officers shout. People turn. A line that was built to screen guests now has to stop a man carrying weapons inside a hotel full of national targets. Inside the dinner, the sound reaches the room before the full truth does. A loud crack, then confusion. For a fraction of a second, no one knows if it is equipment, a fallen tray, a burst from outside, or something worse. Then the agents move. The president is covered. The first lady is moved. Guests drop beneath tables pressed against the floor in tuxedos and evening dresses listening for the next shot. The room does not empty with elegance. It fractures. Every person inside understands the same thing. At the same time, the threat is not theoretical anymore. Outside, the confrontation is already happening. A Secret Service officer is struck in the chest. The ballistic vest absorbs what the body cannot. The officer survives. Seconds later, the suspect is down, not killed, but stopped. The firearms are recovered. The path toward the ballroom is cut off before it can become something history would remember for a different reason. This is the part security planners train for and fear most. Not the clean scenario, the broken one. A crowded hotel. A high-value target. Unclear sound. Panicked civilians. Armed officers forced to decide instantly where the danger is, where the president is, and how many seconds remain before the two meet. By the time Trump and Melania are moved away, the dinner is no longer an event. It is a crime scene. And in the silence after the gunfire, Washington begins to understand that the assassination charge will not come from what happened in the ballroom. It will come from how close the gunman got before he was stopped. By midnight, the Washington Hilton no longer looks like a place built for ceremony. The lights are still on. The tables are still dressed. Plates sit unfinished beneath crystal glasses. Outside, police vehicles hold the perimeter. Reporters who came to cover a dinner now become witnesses to a federal case forming in real time. The first official message is narrow and controlled. The president is safe. The first lady is safe. A suspect is in custody. A Secret Service officer has survived after being struck in the chest, protected by a ballistic vest. No one inside the ballroom was killed. In the language of security, that is success. In the language of history, it is a warning. 2 days later, the warning becomes a charge. Cole Tomas Allen, 31 of Torrance, California, is brought into federal court. Prosecutors accuse him of attempting to assassinate President Donald Trump, along with firearms offenses tied to the attack. If convicted on the assassination count, he could face life in prison. But the courtroom does something the ballroom could not. It slows the night down. The train from California, the hotel room, the weapons, the checkpoint, the charge toward the protected area, the seconds before agents reacted. Each detail is pulled apart, not for drama, but for proof. Because in federal court, fear is not enough. The government has to show intent. The defense will have its own questions. The investigation is still moving. And that is what makes the ending uneasy. The Secret Service stopped the suspect before he reached the president. The system held. But it held at the edge under pressure with a gunman close enough to turn a political dinner into a national emergency. A room designed to celebrate the press became a reminder of something darker. Power gathers people together. Security builds rings around them. And sometimes history is decided not by a speech, not by an election, not by a headline, but by a few seconds at a checkpoint and by the people trained to move before everyone else understands why.